Jaga dia le su kala le ta ga hale ai le nye bo ma chi mo ya le ko de ko chi ga su na dia le ti ma le nye ke pa to nye ga la ge ga de pu ja bu ga ke ga pu tu le yo pu ti jin jin cho le nga yi yo tu ma dia pe ya le su chu mo ha sai ko o pu ma yo ya ko tu ga che so ho yo chi na lo ke ta ki ma pu le na le ma cha ke le ti le Namo sikami ga tok halo galo kita okati sin ni sigala kui po maketa toa kui o apome te lo kui me o ga na dot office ko we apine ko kula to ba ka to ga masih na to ma ga te ba no to le kita ki ma kuna yi kai makeno ando mo yo sa ki ma ga pe le we o mi me ki be che le te ko le kita ki yo ki to le Kada yo na da tola che ya ko tu so yi ni jo ti ma jo we covid ti lo ma kada covid de na we yo we hai ma de ya ko ma tu so ke ma ti de yo tu ma ga hi le yo ga ma jo pe le yo yi give up ti le kada ga we ha le ki jo ma yo pu le ko de ko yo ko chi ko nya to le mo yo le yo chi de ga mo yo lai ko ga yo ke li ga hai yo la pi le chi de ko Kita baca je le, kalau ni le lu we yo, macam apa nak terus na muak pi ma yo kui nak macam juga, mati jo le, macam apa je le, di cuma tu jo kui dekai lah jo sakit di bayi, macam apa pe me, kali ngah tu je ngah ku tu jo ngah sak kata gache tu be ngah tu me le, bisa ngah macam lo, patient jo tu, kau tu pun no patient jo lo ma, patient macam tu tinggal ho, kita le. Ko de ko yo man mo phe ba to a tu ti ga de ko ti ga ko ku ga ku ke jo ya le ke ba to patient jo tu nga na bi nga na de dos le nga nya na de do ga ya le ke ta okay cho tu ga che nga ke to le bu ja ga ya
Good morning then. Good morning on behalf of my family. I just want to thank everyone, extend my gratitude to all the family and friends that are here this morning, to visit and to honor my dad on his last day. We have known my dad in a variety of roles such as father, husband, uncle, cousin, and a friend. And I just wanted to read a little passage from the obituary here. Porle Stacy, he was 77 years old when he went home to be with the Lord on March 12, 2023, peacefully at home. Kong&Eepang Stacy was born on August 12, 1945 in Laos. He came to America in 1980 with his family. He will be remembered as a hardworking man who wanted the best for his loved ones. He was a forgiving and accepting person. He got to live a simple but full life. For the last final days of his life, he battled against chronic illness. He had a golden heart, strong, stubborn at times, but truly a fighter to the very end. Even though we didn't want him to go, God had a greater plan. He is no longer suffering and is resting in peace. He is finally reunited with his late wife, Isu Stacy, daughters, Idang C. and Mary Stacy. He is survived by his two daughters, Epang C., that's me, and Ibun Stacy, and also his many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We love him and will truly miss him. Gone, but he will forever remain in our hearts. And I just wanted to say that my dad, earlier my sister even said, he was a loving person. In my early childhood, I remember him always, I know when he came to America, he didn't speak English and it was very hard, but he did try his best. He took us to school, anytime, like every morning, he was always doing that, always encouraging us to do good, in school, and just what a normal dad would do. But as I grow older, like my husband said earlier, I thought I had a lot of patience and compassion as a person, but I didn't really have it until I took care of him as a caregiver. And my husband was talking about that earlier. It takes a lot of patience and compassion, because he was at his final days, and he was not with it at times. So he would yell at us and, spit at us, things like that, and we still had to have that compassion and to show him, that we care for him. And on his days, the last days, it was last year, he didn't want to go to dialysis anymore because he was tired. But, we told him, okay, it's Thanksgiving and Christmas time and New Year's time, so just, bear with us. We didn't want him to go yet. And he's like, okay, tell me when it's January. And so now it's like a whole year full around. He's like asking, is it January already? Like he didn't know the times. And then this last couple of weeks, he was very slowly declining, and he didn't want to go anymore. So that was his final draw, And as a daughter and family member, it's hard to, let go, because we think we're going to be the one that's letting them. But it was his choice in the beginning, and we decided to honor his wishes. And so we had him off dialysis a week before, and just within a week, he passed. And my dad taught me a lot. I talked to him times when I was taking care of him and when I prayed for him. I asked him to pray to God for forgiveness, for, to God to give him strength, and that we all loved him, whatever. I know that he's suffering with his illness, but that we loved him and that we'll do our best, even though it's hard for us also with our lives and stuff. But he said, yes, I'm praying. Yeah, God has forgiven me, and he was ready. So when it happened to be, he died on this March 2nd, or March 12th, which is it's on a Sunday, so his final day of rest. And also, the night before, he was struggling, and even as a nurse, it's hard for me to see him struggling and can't breathe, and I couldn't so I had to sometimes be in my own room, not to see that. It was hard, and I would just go and turn him, and whatever fluid he has, I took it out, but he was, and gave him his medication so that he was comfortable. But even for me, it's hard to see him suffering like that. So I prayed, and I just prayed that whatever your will is, God, allow it to happen. So he did. And today is a sad day, but it's also a day of celebration, because, I was listening to a song, and it says that he is looking down on us, and he is, on earth he couldn't walk anymore. They had amputated his leg, and now he's up in heaven, reunited with his wife and my two sisters that had gone before. So in that aspect, I have tears of joy for that. And, it's sad for Earth, as we are here on Earth, because we are going to miss him. I will cherish all the many special moments that we had together, even through the pain, and good times. That would always remain in my heart. But for now, he is up there with my sisters, and for that I am celebrating that he is now free and no more pain, no more suffering. And so, thank you, Dad, for taking care of us. I remember him when I was sick also, in 2013, and I was the same as him. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I was in the hospital. And he was one of the ones that stayed. He stayed all night long in the hospital with me, even though he was so old. He had a good heart. He had a great, loving heart. He cared for his daughters, all of them. Like my sister said earlier, his favorite daughter was Edang, because every time he called us, he would call her name before everybody else. He'll say Edang to everyone. But later on, I guess, my sisters Edang and Mary passed, And then he will call me by my name now. But I'm honored to be his daughter. And he taught a lot of great things for me. Like I said, he's a very accepting, forgiving, generous man. So that's what I'm going to remember him as. A loving father. His plan on earth is done. And so in Jeremiah 29:11, God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." God's plan for him on earth is done. And he has the same plan for all of you. And so I just want to thank everyone for coming and honoring him today. Thank you. Oh, and I need to tell you, join us after here. We're going to the cemetery at noon to have a final service there at the gravesite. And after that, we will go to my house for a reception, and there will be food. My mother-in-law and my friends are preparing food, so it'll be ready by the time we get back after the cemetery. So, thank you.